What's up? I'm Travis.
And I'm Tyler.
We are
Twisted Transcription Studios.
correct. So, like we said earlier, we're going to show you how to track some guitar. That's going to involve setting up the micing and getting the levels right and all sorts of stuff like that.
First up, I'm going to take the camera with me in there and we're going to mic Travis's amp.
So, like we said, we brought you in here. We're going to mic up this amp. As you can tell, we used my 57 for Tyler's snare as well. More or less, simple setup. We showed you this in a different video. I want to put it off, just on the edge of the dust cone, which is hard to see, but that's the general area there. And then more or less, you just got to get in here and really look. Make sure it's straight on. I personally like mine to touch the cloth, like I spoke before. And that kind of is that without going into like a severe amount of detail, without having a second mic, stuff like that. But we're going to plug in this one here because it's got the red duct tape on it. That's how we remember things around here. And that'll do it. So we've got a Focusrite 18920. That's what we use to do all our tracking. Normally, the red duct tape cord lives in input number 1, but I personally do not like input number 1 for guitar. I think it's the preamp. It sounds a little bit different, changes the tone of the guitar. Works really well for the snare and vocals, not so much for the guitar. So what we're going to do is use what I believe is a cheaper preamp back here in input number 3, which would be where one of the rack toms would normally live to record the guitar with. And more or less that's it for plugging stuff in and like that. We're going to get the levels on number 3 here and do some tracking.
Alright, now we've got everything set up. We've got Travis mic'd up and hooked up and ready to record. We're going to open some Pro Tools.
The first thing you're going to notice on the screen is I have a GTR tuner by Waves pulled up, because that's one of the most important things about recording any stringed instrument is make sure they're all exactly tuned with the same tuner, because each different tuner has a different frequency deal and it can be slightly off and make everything sound like trash. At any rate, what we got to do now is get some levels. Because like I said, we're plugged into input 3. We need to create an audio track, which I already have. And you definitely want to make sure you have a number behind everything, because a lot of stuff is going to be double or quad or God knows how many tracks. So guitar 1, we now have a track. We need to make sure that it's set in input number 3, because we're going to be using input 3. So yeah, right now it's set to input 1. So we're going to move it to input 3. So now you should be able to see a little bit of some spikes there.
His levels right here.
Personally, we like to get our input levels between 15 and 10. That's just kind of where I feel like you get the best bang for your buck at. So I'm just going to slide this up until we get there. And what you got to think about as well when you're playing guitar is if you're doing palm mutes, that will spike quite a bit, but we're also going to lay down some heavy compression to get rid of some of that thuddy sound. But the main level you want to listen to is that one. So there you go. But you'll see when you're palm muting, it gets very close to maxing it out. Yeah. But we'll solve that a little later. So now we have that set up and we're going to
add a click track.
Yep, and we got to find my headphones too. So Tyler, how'd you just make that click track? You didn't teach them anything.
I'm sorry. You go up here to track and you go to the very bottom and it says create click track.
Right, you might be fooled in thinking you need to go to create a new track and make a click track, but they made it a little bit easier in Pro Tools. All right, before we start recording, just wanted to give you some gear info. Got a Marshall DSL 100 going through a old school Purple Haze Marshall cab. Also running the Very Thing on no gain, but a little bit of a tightening in the tone, and a wah pedal that I probably won't use in this instance, but it's in the loop. So at any rate, and I've got an ESP here with some EMGs. So Tyler?
First thing we're going to do is we're going to arm this guitar. You can hear it coming through our monitors here. You want to arm that. He wants a 2-bar count off. That's normally what we go for. And you come up here and you arm it. Always make sure you're back all the way to the start so you don't start at like 37 seconds or something. And then you just play it.
you can tell, there's some mess ups in there, but that is how it is. The thing they really focus on when you do mess up is trying to not get off beat in your mess ups. I mean, you can mess up, but just as long as your down beats and up beats are in the right spot, you can still track other instruments over top of that.
And this doesn't have to be perfect anyway, because this is kind of like we said, the rough draft, just so we can record the drums. He just wants to lay down a bass track, not a bass track, but a basic track for recording.
Yep.
So I can stay in time and
once he gets in times, we can go back in and fix the little parts of the guitar that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of it with the tracking this little piece of the guitar.
Be sure to subscribe, drop a comment, and hit the bell so you see our latest videos.
And find us on Facebook and Instagram at Twisted Transcription.